know how we do it at HBCU Gameday.
Man. Froze up. You know what time it is.
You already know. Flag.
Turn down, turn down. Turn down for what?
Thank y'all.
Hey, the No Huddle is back, and so are you. We appreciate it. Welcome to week 2 of the season that never was. It got sacked. I'm Tyler Carr, and there's no doubt that when we all look back on 2020, it will be with the gas face reaction. The coronavirus wiped out the climax of the basketball season back in the spring, and despite a brief lull in the curve, it was a cruel, cruel summer. From Morehouse being the first to cancel this season in June to Tennessee State waving the white flag in mid-August, Black college football disappeared right before our eyes.
March of 2020 is one of those paradoxical moments that feels like it was just yesterday as well as a lifetime ago. HBCU Gameday was elbow deep in its hoops bag, and personally, I was in the midst of shooting some of my best work to date. The CIAA tournament had one of the most exciting finishes in recent memory. North Carolina Central had cut down the nets for a regular season championship.
HBCU Gameday. We coming back. This is what we do. Look up here. Look up here. It's all us. This is what we do.
And I took a trip to Winthrop University, where the Hampton Pirates were only a few possessions away from going to the big dance.
He cannot guard me.
But as I headed up to Norfolk, Virginia the following week to cover the MEAC basketball tournament, something called the novel coronavirus had made its way into our world and looked like it was about to cancel all the madness of March.
That whole week, they were falling one by one by one, and it was just like...
It was like the world changed in a matter of hours.
It was very unsettling as the chips started falling and we started realizing how serious this coronavirus was.
You're really trying to figure out what's going on.
Some teams were still playing, some teams would cancel, then some teams were like, we're going to play, but the fans can't come back.
The NBA had been shut down, the ACC had shut off, so it was like, wow, this is real. Like, at that point, it was just a matter of when more than if.
I'm like, Wally, I don't know. I was like, by the time you get there, this thing might be canceled.
As the games were going on, conferences were just canceling left and right, so you knew it was just a matter of time.
I remember the SWAC had emailed and called, and they were like, okay, we're going to have ours, but no fans, just the media. And I remember thinking, man, I'm going to have to sell my wife on. I'm going to this game. It's going to be safe because there aren't going to be any fans there, and we'll be spread out from everybody. And I still even felt a little, weary about that.
Last game, Morgan State and Delaware State, we thought that they might not even get a chance to make it on the court. And from what I understand, it was a very close call. And it just so happened that they actually did come out on the court. We were shocked that they were on the court because by this time, pretty much everybody had shut down. There was really no more games going on. And so about halfway through the game, you realize the MEAC is the last conference standing. It was just another leisurely Thursday afternoon at the MEAC basketball tournament, and quickly it changed into the last vestiges of sport as we knew it before the pandemic.
And then all of a sudden, by Friday morning, not only was the tournament in terms of the SWAC council, but the NCAA tournament was canceled. The Olympic fall spring sports were all canceled. And so in like less than 36 hours, things went from 6, 7 to 10, 11, 12 off the Richter scale, which you got a 3-alarm blaze starting that Monday. So that whole week was just like that wave of coronavirus, fear, uncertainty.
It reminded me kind of the Space Shuttle Columbia exploding. The reaction was not as fast as that, but at some point when we realized that the whole world, the entire world was shutting down, that it was quite a disaster on our hands. And at some point, college athletics had no importance in the hierarchy of our concerns.
It was the weirdest, the absolute weirdest thing. I imagine it would would have been the equivalent of being like in outer space and seeing a blackout happen across the entire country. It was just lights starting to go off in pockets. And before you know it, like, it's just darkness everywhere. And that was it for college sports.
I got to Norfolk in just enough time to set up a tripod and record the press conference that canceled the MEAC basketball tournament.
Unfortunately, we have made a decision as the Council of CEOs for the MEAC, which is a body made up of the presidents of the MEAC in consultation with the athletic directors, to suspend the rest of the basketball tournament on both the men's and the women's side as of the end of the last women's game that was played.
And after talking to some fans in the parking lot, the season was over.
I am so disappointed because we're not going to see the entire tournament, because I have been coming for the past 50 years without missing a tournament. But we know health comes first. So I'm not so disappointed that I'm going to be evil and ugly about it, because you know what? We got to look out for ourselves, because if we don't do it, nobody else is. Of course, I'm disappointed because we're not going to see Norfolk State play. But it's all good.
And not with the usual confetti and on-court turn-up that we've grown accustomed to.
North Carolina Central, all this right here runs through North Carolina Central. We've been doing this a long time. That's the reason I came here. They told me to come here and win championship, and that's what I am. Read that right there. Hey, everybody that doubted us, we knew we was going to be right here. This is all we got. This is all we got. This is all we need right here. We champions, baby.
And while it felt surreal, it also felt temporary. A springtime anomaly that would be a footnote by the time summer was in full swing. We were shocked at how quickly COVID-19 took down the championships in basketball, but I don't think anyone thought it would last long enough to topple the upcoming football season.
I was hoping that it wouldn't affect the fall sports.
I felt like the general sentiment was, by the time football got here, everything would be okay.
Instantly, when I started reading all the data, the medical reports, really digging into it after about a week, I knew it was going to be a major challenge for these institutions to find a way, not just in terms of sports and athletics, but I was even extremely concerned in terms of institutions being able to open.
You saw the numbers and the death tolls continue to rise, unfortunately. And a lot of them were in areas where there are a lot of HBCUs, especially down south, where you talk about Louisiana, you're talking about Alabama, you're talking about Georgia and places like that that are key to essential to HBCU football, even, you know, in North Carolina. So
I was hoping that we would see the numbers decline, see a vaccine come out, but that was not the reality.
I felt like it would be something that by the time summer was over, we would be okay. And we could have been. We could have been, but
sports is one thing constant that we've been able to count on forever. I mean, you know, you go back, you know, to World War II was the last time some schools didn't have a football season or sports at all. And some of those schools even had sports during World War II. So it's just a part of our life, and it's a part of the fall. Like, I'm a fall baby. I'm born in November. I love the fall. And part of that is it's back to school, it's falling leaves, it's football, it's fairs, it's festivals, it's all of that.
Our college athletes don't have the luxuries that, especially football, don't have the luxuries that professional athletes like hockey and basketball with less members on each team, to be able to be in a bubble, to be in a controlled environment where they limit their contact to the outside world and their significant testing. We don't have that luxury in most colleges.
The crowds are a big thing. Every year, the SWAC and the SIAC lead the NCAA divisions in attendance. And are they going to be able to, you know, are they going to be able to make enough money to sustain programs?
When black colleges started canceling the biggest social gathering on the campuses every year, which is a homecoming, you knew it was serious.
Once it became clear that fans were not going to be at the games at the HBCU level, I knew HBCU football was done, because it's not SEC football, it's not Big Ten football, and this is no slight to HBCU football, but It is an entire experience. If you don't have the fans, you don't have the bands, you don't have the halftime, you don't have all of that. It comes, you don't have a game. Like, I guess in theory they could have gone out there and gotten the score and gotten a win, and nobody would have witnessed it in person. But that's not what we do.
And as we looked at the numbers, it just made no sense to even pursue the fall. And as we are here today, most of the schools, most of the conferences have fallen. There are a few holdouts, but I don't think it's going to last. I don't think there will be organized collegiate football this fall.
As homecomings and football classics began to fall one by one during the summer, the reality of no sports in the fall began to set in. And as one socially distanced day led to the next, our thoughts shifted from if they canceled the season to when they canceled the season. And it wasn't long before HBCU football in 2020 was over before it started.
It's like, wow, it hit me. It's like, it's real.
I mean, just think about it, man. You're a senior. This was going to be your last year and the end of your being on a team, playing a sport that you played all your life. Most of these guys are not going to the NFL. Most of these young ladies are not going to turn out as professional athletes. NBA, WNBA, it'll happen here or there, but for most of them, this is it. And for a lot of these kids, man, it was over before they realized it was over. And that's really, really unfortunate. It's really sad.
I got a call that Morehouse was going to be canceling football for the year, and the SIAC should follow shortly after. So again, it's one of those things where you're kind of seeing what's going to go on, what's going to happen, and it didn't take long for that rumor to get out. So it was like, okay, Morehouse did this. Wow, they actually made the move.
And little by little, you see the trickle-down tipping point factor taking place. In a lot of ways, with a lot of credit to Morehouse at the Division II level, if not the SWAC ultimately with their decision to move into the spring. One of those you could see as the final tipping point where things really started to exacerbate and culminating with essentially the close of all sports for the fall 2020.
So the MEAC canceled, postponed their season, but they didn't really give a lot of plan. It was like, we hope that we can do it. We hope that the plan can roll out. And so that left the SWAC as the last HBCU conference. They came out with the plan, and it's definitely, something that people are excited about. People are interested in to see how the spring football thing is going to work.
I had a hard time writing the stories of choosing the word postpone or cancel. Like, SWAC made it very clear we're going to, play in the spring if we can. Other conferences were like, I don't know what they're planning. They kind of left the door kind of vaguely open, and I don't know if it's just canceled altogether or they're going to try to do spring.
For the HBCUs, we take very dearly our brands. Our brands mean a lot, and from the colors to the slogans to the alumni that have graduated from our HBCUs, we take that very seriously. So our universities are brands that we really protect. In this COVID-19 pandemic, when you bring those student athletes back to campus and they start getting positive tests, it does irreparable damage to a brand. When you start seeing numbers of coronavirus cases associated with a school, I really, really felt that. And as much as I loved FAMU and thought that Willie Simmons had an amazing team assembled, and we couldn't wait to see that rematch up in Greensboro with North Carolina A&T, and we couldn't wait to see FAMU get a chance to get back at Bethune-Cookman, couldn't wait to go out to Baton Rouge to play Southern, couldn't wait to go to Miami to kick things off to restart the Orange Blossom Classic against Albany State. There were so many things lined up that you wanted the team to play, but I did not want the team to get out there and positive cases start showing up and that damage be done to the brand.
But I just haven't seen anything that makes me think that anything's going to be any different. than it is right now. We kind of kicked the can down the road and just had hope. Like maybe something will happen, but I'm out of hope when it comes to maybe something will happen. We're going to need something definitive, like a vaccine. I don't know what else can happen outside of a vaccine that's going to give people comfort. And there's a lot of people that's going to be uncomfortable with the vaccine, me included. America has a history. I'm not going to be in first class, I'll tell you that. I'm going to let some of you guys take it and see how it goes. But maybe, I'm not putting money on it, but I think they have to be fair and not just give up.
I think after this, I think folks will put more of a premium on going and actually seeing people in person in real life more. So it's going to be interesting to see how it affects things not only this year but going forward.
So, here we are, starting the fall with hopes for the spring, sailing our ship into the uncharted waters of COVID-19. There won't be any smoke coming off the grills in the tailgate.
We gotta have fish every homecoming. Fried fish every homecoming, brother.
No midfield skirmishes to get caught in. No big plays to catch or guys yelling in the camera after a big win. The only thing left of HBCU sports this fall is one ominous question. Where do we go from here?
The CIAA, the SIC, the SWAC, the MEAC, they all realize that this is bigger than what they could handle, what they could manage. I think they had to look at themselves in the mirror and say, could they continue to justify, putting their young folks in harm's way? But I think at the end of the day, the HBCUs, I'm glad they took the lead on that. I'm glad that they had the foresight to see that this thing is not over yet by a long shot. Our community, the African American community, is disproportionately affected by it, and so with that in the back of your mind, I don't know how you could have played it, if played it at all, if you were HBCU. You get that feeling of sense of family and caring, and it's hard to preach that and then you be one of the last conferences to do it and make it look like it is solely about money. Even if it is mostly about money, making it look like it's solely about money would not really serve the HBCU mission well.
When there is disruption, there are two different ways you can go, as I just suggested. And so I'm hoping for a lot more innovation, and that's going to be from all parties involved. Not just the institutions, not just the athletic departments, not just the conference office, but even in the media, specifically those that have done a great job of covering HBCU sports. I'm looking at it from a perspective of what is next. How do you change the framework for improvement that will put the HBCUs and their athletic departments in a better position moving forward? And so that's what I'm focused on, laser focused on, if you will, about being a part of the solution, being a part of the conversation, conversing with others in regards to how do you move forward in an innovative framework.
If you're a fan, specifically an HBCU fan, keep that same energy when it comes to supporting your school. If there aren't going to be any games, that money that you were going to spend at the game, at the homecoming, on your outfit, on parking, if you have it, I know some people have been laid off, jobs eliminated, I understand, but if you're still in a relatively good position, support your school. Support your university financially with whatever you were going to spend going to the games and whatever that entails for you. If you're a part of sports media that you're just kind of there for the exploitation of these kids, like their touchdowns and their efforts are just clicks to you and you don't care beyond that, then now's a good time to maybe take a look at your life. I don't know. They're not going to be out there, so you've got to figure out something. For us, at HBCU Game Day, we're all about telling the stories of these athletes, of these schools, of these institutions, about these fans. So we just pivot slightly, we just get a little more creative, but we still show up to work every day. And these schools aren't going anywhere right now. Some of them are in a tight situation. So again, we need that support, but they'll still be here when all this is over. So we're just as passionate about what they're doing in other areas, and we just have to work a little bit harder. But it's not the end of the world. Go to the parks, enjoy your life. Well, now it's time to move forward. There will be no football, but there's absolutely nothing, nada, that we can do about it now. The opportunity to wear your mask and stay at home and be safe, well, that is past. Some of us did, some of us didn't. But we still have an entire season to go on television and online, and we are going to tell these stories. You want to hear from legends like Bill Hayes? We got that. Did you know the next potential star driver in NASCAR, two hands, is going to be at an HBCU this fall? We got his story as well. We'll even connect you with former HBCU players who are now doing their thing in the NFL. So buckle up, Buttercup, and we'll see you right back here next week as we continue to ride out a full season of the No Huddle on Aspire TV.
A 52-yard field goal for Noel Ruiz, who was 0 for 2 on kicks on the day, but ain't nobody at A&T about to remember that, because he drills the game winner with no time left on the clock. 24-21, North Carolina A&T gets the win, rushes the field, and as usual, the Aggies had a whole lot to say to the HBCU Gameday camera.
Come on, man. Well, you never give up on your kicker, man. Always gonna come through for us, baby. Love you, Noel. Let's get it now. On the dude, here we come.
He just missed 2 in the second half. Yeah, he did. And he comes back and wins a 52-yarder to win it. Yeah. What did you do immediately when he kicked the field goal? I get Hey, this how it goes down, baby. Aspire TV, HBCU Gameday. Everybody.